A US brand produces Japanese style knives in China. Does it work? Hey guys, so I'm finally back with another knife review, and this time we are looking at Forge to Table. So Forge to Table was one of my more requested knife brands that we review, so I ended up reaching out to Noah Rosen, the owner of Forge to Table, and he was kind enough to send me a knife so that I could take a look at it and see what I think of it. And not only was he kind enough to send me a knife, he was actually kind enough to let me pick which knife I wanted as well. So I chose the Bunka just because it's one of my favorite styles of knives, and we're going to talk about it today. So full disclosure, as always, I do have an affiliate link for Forge Table, so if you do buy a knife from them after this review, I do get a little kickback from it. That being said, again, as always, I'm always 100% honest with you guys. That being said, I absolutely adore this knife, so let's go ahead and get into it. So, before we even pull out the knife, I do want to talk a little bit about the company. I did do a little bit more research into them, about them, things like that. Now, the knives, they are made in China, but they're not mass-produced like a lot of other Chinese knives. Forge to Table actually works very closely with Alex Zhang, who is a third-generation blacksmith based in China, and actually as part of his training, he ended up studying in Seki, Japan, which is the knife capital of Japan, and thus arguably one of the knife capitals of the world. Now, each knife from Forge to Table is handmade from start to finish using true Takafu VG10 steel, and while Alex doesn't always have a hand in personally making each and every knife, he does personally inspect each and every knife before it's boxed up and sent out, and he signs each and every box to ensure that he has inspected it. So that being said, let's take a look at the knife now. So when I received the knife in the mail, I was immediately impressed just by the packaging. The box they send is gorgeous. This is a very nice wooden box, embossed, stamped, engraved, however you want to say. Forge to Table brand. And then you actually have the seal right here that, tears when you open it. But that is Alex's signature and his stamp of approval on the blade. So, just right off rip, great, beautiful, excellent packaging. Now, when you open the knife, and as always, I did repackage the knife, even though I've used it pretty extensively for a few weeks now. You do get a little plastic sheath with the knife, just a cheap, flimsy little plastic sheath. And, I've mentioned this with other knives that have it. It's better than nothing. It's not a great blade guard by any means, but it is better than nothing. They also do sell leather sayas, which are basically leather sheaths for your knife that Noah sent one to me, and I actually don't have it on me right now. But it's a leather sheath. It says Forge Table on it. Pretty standard, and you can buy those separately as well. We come out of the box, and just immediately, this knife is just beautiful. This is one of the most gorgeous knives that I own, just flat out. So you have a rosewood handle octagonal wa, which is personally my favorite style of handle. It's kind of a traditional Japanese knife style. I really like it. I think it's incredibly comfortable. And then on the blade itself, you have the Kuro Uchi, which is also known as a blacksmith's finish. And now, not only is that very attractive, but it also, because of the texture on it, helps aid in food release and does protect the steel a little bit. So I like that a lot. And then the knife as well is perfectly balanced, like a lot of the knives we talk about. Balance is always great for a knife. And it's actually perfectly balanced so that, you hold it at a pinch grip, the proper way to hold a knife, and it feels great. So let's talk about performance of the knife. How did it do? Well, I actually did get to use this knife quite a bit at my last job before I left. Obviously, as I've mentioned in the past, I don't have any footage for that. But I did manage to, just while I've been cooking at home, take a little bit of film. Some of this you're going to recognize from my last video. Some of it you'll recognize in my next video. So yes, before I even show it, I know I need to, raise my camera a little bit. It was placed a little bit too low. Working on that. So as you'll see here, just prepping up some bell peppers for various things. It's cutting through pretty nicely. No real resistance. At this point, after using it for quite some time at my last job, and using it now, the edge did start dull just a touch, but as much use as it's gotten, that's pretty incredible for how much I was using it. It's still actually damn near razor sharp. You'll also see, some jalapenos here. Still made very quick work of an onion. Did not really fight back on that at all. Just dicing up some tomatoes. And, of course, some cilantro right here. Yeah, I was making pico de gallo. So yeah, overall, even after all the time I used it off camera and the time that I did here, the edge retention on this guy is excellent. So nothing to worry about there. So now, I can't give an honest review about this unless I talk about the drawbacks on this knife as well. Now, there really aren't many, and as usual with me, these are pretty nitpicky drawbacks, but it is, if I can find anything wrong with the knife, I need to talk about it. First off, one thing I've mentioned with a lot of knives, you'll know this if you've been watching the channel for a while, the spine isn't rounded. So it's a little rough. It does feel kind of a little sanded down. It's not as, rough as other knives I've used, but it's still a boxy spine, which can cause a little bit of discomfort when you're using it for long periods of time. So there's something to watch out for there. And as well with the spine, the spine's a little touch on the thick side, which when you get into like larger stuff, larger prep work, it can end up causing a little bit of wedging and slowing you down. Just something else to look out for with that. And the last thing, this isn't really an issue with the knife itself, but the blade style itself. The bunk is only 7 inches. And while 7 inches doesn't seem like a lot from 8 inches, it can really hinder you. It's not as versatile as an 8-inch or a 9-inch or even a 10-inch chef's knife when it comes down to different things you can do with it, especially again with larger prep work. So it's a little bit limiting in the size, but other than that, I really like this knife. This is one of my favorite knives I've gotten. In conclusion, I think that for $90, this knife is a steal. This is a great knife for $90. And I think it's perfect for anybody who wants a low maintenance knife that performs well and is honestly just pretty gorgeous to look at. So yeah, that about does it today. As always, those buttons down there. Tell YouTube you like me. Also, shout out to my Patreon supporters. Anything like that. Yeah. You can always join Patreon. If you want to help me out, support this, help the channel grow, help me pay my bills. You guys know I'm doing this full time now, so any and every little bit helps. Also, you want to hang out with me? You like that reaction video I did? You want to hang out, watch it with me live? Follow me on Twitch. I'm live right now, kind of later nights, but I'm trying to figure out a good stream schedule, so we'll get there. And last thing too, I've mentioned it. I try not to mention it too often, but I haven't mentioned it in a while. Got that P.O. box. You ever want to send me something cool, something stupid, something funny, whatever you feel like, go ahead and check that address in the description and the links, everything I've talked about in the description below. Other than that, I think that's about it for today. Love y'all. See you soon.